Good afternoon. And I'll just give it a minute for people to tune into the live feed. I'd like to start off, if you are tuning in tonight, by saying thank you for coming along and watching the video. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you for watching on the replay. So just give it a moment more, just for some people to tune in, and then I will get into this afternoon's discussion, which is going to be about the High Court ruling on Facebook comments holding third parties responsible for comments, or legally responsible for comments made on Facebook. So quite an interesting subject, really. Some very concerning things to think about and look into in regards to that. Alright, now I apologise too, I started a couple of minutes late. I was playing around and had some issues setting up. Alright, let's get into it then. Okay, so as I stated, today's this Arvo's conversation is going to be on the High Court ruling in regards to Facebook comments and third parties being held liable and legally responsible for comments made by other people, which is very, very concerning and I think very dangerous too, because it's certainly something that's very hard for anybody who is running a Facebook group or Facebook pages. It's very hard for people to keep themselves legally safe or to defend themselves from such a ruling. That becomes very, very hard, and it sets a dangerous precedent, really. One of my main concerns is the taking away of freedom of speech too. So we're starting to define what can and cannot be said. And then we're defining like, well, if you say this, then someone else is responsible. They'll be going to jail, not the person who said it, which, I don't know if that's a good idea myself. I get too that, there are things that people can say that are very concerning. I mean, extremist things or inciting to violence or hurt or into terrorism and things. And I get, yes, when people talk about freedom of speech, that doesn't absolve from responsibility of what you say. Sure, you're free to incite people to commit a terrorist act. Great, good for you. But there is obviously going to be consequences for that, and rightly so. I mean, so when people talk about freedom of speech, there are limits too, and there are consequences to what you can say or do say. That being said, if someone comments on a Facebook page, inciting any of that, that is on the person who comments, not where it has been commented. So I myself run, I think it's 2 groups on Facebook, and obviously this Facebook page. So that would be Make Victoria Safe Again, the Victorian Crime Watch area for Epping area, and this page. Obviously, I should not be held responsible for what other people put in the comment section or in those groups. A lot of the time, I'm going to be honest, people do make comments on the page or in the groups and that I don't always agree with. And that's okay. I don't have to agree with everything that's ever commented on. Other people don't have to agree with what I say or other things that are commented on my page or groups or anyone else's page or group. But that being said, it becomes very hard because it's like the person responsible is the person who's commenting. That's where the liability should really be lying. Another concern is the inability to always delete comments for it. So you're going to be held liable. Okay, that's great. And I say, oh, well, you got to delete the comments. Okay, that's great. But look, let's be realistic. Who's on the internet all the time? So if you're running one of these pages, and you're starting to worry, like, look, I'm staring down the barrel of the fact that I might go to jail because of what someone else said that has nothing to do with me, that I have no control over, which again is quite worrying. So you look at someone little like myself, don't always have time to be deleting comments. You look at big things like, say, Channel 9, Channel 10, Herald Sun and whatever, even then, like, they're paying people, you can't be deleting things all the time. There's going to be things that slip through the cracks. And that's just the reality of life, and that's just how it goes. Another big concern that I think is it can be weaponized by faceless trolls, and that is a really big concern for me. Just how easily it can be weaponized. So, you know, someone comes along, they decide they don't like you, they don't like your page, they don't like what you stand for. I'm telling you what you could do now. You start up a fake Facebook account, you say something controversial or something that's going to cause trouble, or something you know is going to be offensive, take a screenshot of it straight away. So even if they're trying to delete comments, if you get that screenshot straight away, then off to the police or whoever, bang, they've just set you up, and then you're the one who's going to end up in trouble as the third party. The only way to stop that, realistically, I mean, and there are things you can do, like if there's someone who's constantly doing things like that, you know, and they're just disruptive trolls, you can ban them from the page. That's great. But the only way that is foolproof for that ever to happen would be to completely delete the comments. So you cannot comment anymore. So you're just taking away discourse then. So you can't even have a conversation or a discourse about a subject now. Just bang, comments are gone, and that fixes the problem. And again, I think that is very dangerous, because if you're not communicating about things or having a dialogue or discourse, that's where you start to get all kinds of issues, like people don't grow in understanding, they don't hear alternative points of view to help them formulate an opinion or a belief on whatever's being discussed, whatever is the subject of the day. Look, what it also comes down to with the whole weaponising of what could be done is, at the end of the day, everybody, it's personal responsibility. So the only person I have control over for the actions, thoughts, feelings, words is me. The only I can regulate my emotions. So I can't regulate anyone else's emotions. I can't regulate or control what they say or what they do. And it's the same for you. You cannot do that to me. You can only regulate your own emotions, your own behaviours, your own thoughts, your own actions, your own words. Only you are responsible for that. So when you look at it in that way, you know, you can't make other people say or do anything. You don't have control over it. You can't make them type or not type a comment. You have no control over it. So a big problem with this High Court ruling is that if you're making the third party liable for the responsibility of someone else, you know, and then they've come along because they decide they don't like you and weaponise it. So you're being held responsible for something you have absolutely no control over. Look, if the Facebook page made, or if they put up a post or a comment that was inciting violence or inciting terrorism or crime or whatever it may be, then yeah, I totally stand by the idea that they are responsible for what they've posted, and that if they get into trouble or end up in court over that you know, so even if it's slander, defamation or whatever, that's fine. You know, they go to court for what they've posted, what they've done, because that's their responsibility. But in the comments, for someone, for instance, slanders someone or says something defamatory, again, you know, like we covered, you can delete it, you can this, you can that, you can ban them, but you're not in control of that 100% anyway. You can't not make someone do that. So it really is a very, very dangerous precedent, and it's one that puts an extra burden and responsibility on someone who has no control, and it takes the responsibility away from the person who should have the responsibility, which is a very, very disempowering way to be doing things and looking at things and conducting things. It's very, very disempowering in many ways. And it's disempowering to the third party because, okay, well, what if I want to have discourse on this page and someone says something? Then you have to take the comments right away. And again, we're just going to go into circles here where, well, if people can't communicate, they don't get new information and stuff. And look, I point out the slander and defamation because this case actually come about in the High Court from, I believe it was I think he was a kid at the time in a youth detention centre in, by memory, Darwin, Dylan Voller. And the story was that there was a spit bag put over the kid's head because he was apparently a spitter at staff and that. I don't quite recall the full details, but I do remember it was all over the news, and it was a very divisive subject, and it was people got very passionate and emotional on both sides of the argument, and I believe what he went to court for was to sue or the papers and the TV things and that for comments that were left in their posts, which, I mean, look, I've been there. I recently had posts up about me that, look, not all the comments were nice. It's, you know, you see some of them and, yeah, look, they can be pretty mean. But again, this comes down to responsibility. Like, you're going to take the responsibility to regulate your own emotions and that and say, okay, well, there were comments made about me that I didn't like. But you know what? I don't have control over this person, what they think, say, do. I've only got control over that, what I say and do. You know, so, look, I get that, it feels pretty shit when people, when there are comments made about you in these forums and that, and things are quite public. As I've said, it happened to me recently. It is what it is. It just comes down to the point. People need to understand you control yourself, not others, and you just got to be a bit resilient about that. And as for the companies, I mean, I think news outlets and that should be allowed to post the story, especially the story about this kid. I mean, it was something that was quite polarising, and it was news, and I guess, yeah, it needed to be discussed. And yes, there was obviously going to be strong points of view on both sides. And unfortunately for this Dylan Voller being stuck in the middle, like for such a thing that happened, you're going to get comments from both sides. But I don't think holding the person who posted the news or the third party liable is helpful at all in any way, shape or form. Unfortunately, if you run a Facebook page and if you do post things like that, although I don't see this becoming a popular thing to happen, hopefully I'm right about that, and the only way to stop it would be to completely disable your comments, and that would be it. Look, I'll leave the live feed at that for tonight. I hope it's been a bit of food for thought, and a bit thought-provoking and something to think about. Let me know in the comments section what you think. If you've got any other ideas, thoughts, comments, just let me know, and we can have a discussion about it, and hopefully I don't end up in jail about it because someone gets offended or upset and decides to sue me for what anyone else said. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, look, please stay safe, look after yourselves, look after each other, and I'll catch you all soon. Thank you for watching.